Branch, Cork South Central.
Colette Finn, the Ballyfahan Branch, Cork South Central. In December 2009, Mary Harney declared in the Dáil, in relation to the Diagnostic Laboratory Service in Ireland, that, and I quote, "Our turnaround time is bad, our quality is poor, and our cost is enormous." When Fidelma Healy-Eames asked her to defend this position with any evidence, and when it was pointed out that this statement on the record of the Dáil was prejudicial to any defence the HSE might make to defence claims of medical negligence, Anya Brady's response in the Senate was, and again I quote, "I am not prepared to answer that question, but I will pass it on to the Minister." This is the misinformation and negative propaganda being put out about publicly provided laboratory diagnostic services. Despite years of underinvestment in staff, IT and physical infrastructure, many laboratories are ISO accredited. The cervical cancer screening service was outsourced to the private sector in the US in 2007, and the public provision of this service ceased. Mary Harney admitted in the Dáil that price was the main consideration. Staff were redeployed to other parts of the laboratory service, and the intellectual capital that took 40 years to build up in this country was written off at the stroke of a pen. It subsequently became apparent that pathology training in Ireland could not be completed because there was no public facility to provide the necessary training. Also, the laboratory contact that is necessary between oncologists and the laboratory was now made more difficult because it's now actually in another country. The pharmaceutical industry, which knows a thing or two about managing a service, would never outsource a core business. The reasons are many: protecting safety of supply, retention of competency, retention of intellectual property and control of key business issues. As the privatisation of Eircom demonstrated when we lost control of the national rollout of broadband in this country, privatisation is not a panacea, and the negative effects need to be understood. As the Lees Cross nursing home case demonstrates, just because it is private sector operated doesn't automatically mean it is well managed. As Darwin pointed out over 150 years ago, systems that fail to adapt will ultimately die. We in the public service understand this. I ask you to support the motion.